Powerful and provocative, prophetic and practical,
Have you ever found yourself?
Are you dating for that person?
informative and
I feel
inspirational.
every bit of that. Like, I'm not trying to waste my
How you gonna do better if you don't know what better looks like? I do. Come on, let's talk about it with me, the mind massager. Hey, Donnie. All right, what's up? What it do? Time for another episode of the Intellectual Stew. Hold on, with yours truly, James Kirkland. I want to thank you for tuning in tonight for once again, as I like what we said in church, once more and again. You tuned in tonight, and I appreciate that. I know you have many other things you could be doing. I know that football will be on in a few minutes, and I'm aware of that, so I'm not crazy. I'm going to cut this short at a certain point. Believe that. But we want to have a conversation tonight, and I got some special guests that are going to join me tonight, and we're going to talk further our conversation about this whole stuck on the couch piece. Do me a favor as you come in tonight, share this thread. Come in, first of all, type hello. You know, you don't come in somebody's house without speaking. At least come in, say hello, how you doing, all that kind of stuff. But then beyond that, if you would share this so someone else can, who perhaps might be going through something similar and might need something to encourage them, because if they see something that someone else has gone through and has overcome, and they realize that if it happened for them, it can also happen for me. So that's part of our journey in this process. And you know that we've recently completed our first book, Stuck on the Couch. We had quite a pilgrimage, quite a journey in this process, but it has nonetheless been a process, and I appreciate that. So this is what we're going to do. I had a few people who have read the book already. Hello, I think I spoke to you, Donnie. And I was one particular gentleman that he was one of the first people to purchase the book. When I told him that I was writing a book, he immediately said, "How much is it?" And then he didn't buy one, but he bought 4. And after he bought those 4, spoken in a while, but the other night we had other day we had a conversation, and I asked him if he read the book, because I didn't know if he had read it or not. Some people don't, you know, they buy books to put on their shelves. They don't necessarily read them when they buy them, you know, or they might come across them at some point. But I specifically asked him if he read the book, and he said yes, and he shared some encouraging words with me and I wanted him to come on the show and talk about that. For those that don't know, like I said, I've written my first book. It's entitled "Stuck on the Couch." This is the cover of it for those that have not seen it. This is the cover. Stuck on the Couch by James H. Kirkland II. That looks kind of good. That's my picture on there. I kind of like the way that looks. You got the old cover, Hood. You got the old cover. You hadn't gotten the new cover yet. You got the old cover. We're not promoting that one, but you got the old cover. But that's that one. So let me get him in here. I'll play the trailer for you all later. I might play the trailer while he's on here so he can see it, because I told him he's a busy man. And I know he's very busy. But this is Bishop T.L. Hood out of Kansas City, originally from Little Rock, Arkansas. But let me bring him on in. Bishop Hood, how art thou, sir?
I'm doing well, sir, and yourself.
Man, I'm making it on broken pieces, but I'm determined to hold on to the ship. I'm gonna hold
I
on to
know
the ship.
I know what you mean.
Well, they say it was gopher wood. So gopher wood has a certain type of buoyancy which allows it to float. So if I'm gonna make it on broken pieces, I want to make it on gopher wood. So that way, so I can kind of, at least dog paddle if I can't swim to make my way across the water. Something like,
Well, I
especially.
got you.
Yeah, man. But no, man, I appreciate you. Well, first of all, thank you, like I said, for purchasing the book. When I first told you that I wrote the book, you immediately you didn't buy one, but you bought four.
Yes.
Why? Why?
Well, number one, I'm a supporter, and I believe in the vision that you shared with myself. But the subject, uh, not knowing to you, convicted my heart.
Wow.
Pastoring and preaching for 36 years, being in Kansas City going on 25 years,
Mm,
I realized I've been stuck on the couch for about 12 years.
wow.
And
Wow.
so I realized, listening to you talk, that I was an older man, afraid to be who I am because I found myself stuck.
Mm,
Um, you lose your glasses, you know it. You lose your car keys, you know it. But when you lose yourself, I lost
Jesus.
sight of God's purpose for my life, and I became comfortable and disappointed in people and disappointed in other things, and it brought about depression.
Wow.
And being a counselor, I went under the radar for years, being stuck like Chuck.
Stuff like that.
So preaching in the pulpit, but I was stuck in my mind, stuck, and no one was able to uh, identify, recognize what was going on.
Yeah.
And so I created bad habits, cussing. And I don't know if you want to say cussing is a bad habit, but it is when you're in the pulpit cussing.
Man, and that, man, and that's that. I got to give you one thing you said to me, and the thing you commended me the most on, because and be honest, you told me, you said, Kirk, I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't necessarily planning on reading it, but when I saw the
Oh
title,
no, I wasn't gonna read it. I was just supporting you. I was
yeah,
going, the stuck on the couch was enough for me.
yeah,
And no, I was not going to read it. Now I'm bringing it to our men in our church, and I'm trying to present it to the ministers' union
mhm.
because there's so many pastors, bishops, apostles, whatever you want to call yourself. If we told the truth, we're stuck on the couch. And I'm gonna say this book that you wrote, it was like preaching. It was like a woman with a miniskirt on. It was long enough to cover the essentials, but short enough to remain attractive.
Whoa.
And so I had to
Whoa,
continue.
no, 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 no. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold
Hold
on.
on,
Everybody,
brother.
no, hold on, hold on, hold on. I need you to say that. Give me 1 second, because I gotta cue this up. I gotta cue this up. Say that one more time. Hold on, let me turn up the volume first. But say that one more time, please. Just
Well,
say that one.
reading, when I was reading your book, it was like preaching a sermon. It was long enough to cover the essentials, but it was short enough to remain attractive. I
Like a
couldn't,
miniskirt.
like a woman in a in a miniskirt. Yes, sir. I couldn't let it go.
Oh Lord, oh
And
Lord,
but it
oh
was long
Lord,
enough to cover the essentials,
oh Lord,
but yet short enough to
oh
still be
Lord.
attractive to where I kept turning page to page.
Wow,
And the
wow,
more I turned, the more I cried. And the
wow.
more I realized how I lied to myself all these years.
Jesus.
And so discipline, I had to learn,
Wow.
makes the day hard,
Mm.
but it makes tomorrow easy. And I thank
You
God for this book.
you said something about men. I want to play a clip from last week. Give me a second. I promise I'm
Me.
not gonna hold you long. Give me 5 more minutes.
About
Uh
me.
well, you said you thought it was something for men, kind of help you're presenting it to your men and things of that
Oh my
nature.
God. Yes, yes,
Hold on, let
yes.
me listen to what Zontaria said last week. Hold on.
But in our conversation earlier today, we had an opportunity examine the significance of this book. Who exactly the target audience is for this book. And I was sharing with James that one of the things that I've noticed, I believe that men who have gone through this situation before really will be able to relate to this book. A lot of times as men, we experience things that we may not have an opportunity to express, or sometimes we feel things that we just don't know how to express. So one of the things I always say is one of the major staples of a true artist or an author is that they become a voice for the voiceless. So this book, of course, it has a lot of spiritual undertones because it speaks about his calling. It also speaks about the difficulties that he had to wrestle.
All right, that's all. That's all I wanted to really play for that. But and you can't. You go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
You.
I'm good. You know, you good. You good.
Yeah.
The book is a powerful book, man. Listen, I was on my way out of here. This book has saved my life. It has
Oh wow.
saved my ministry. I I, I had to learn uh, about the pain of regret as well as the pain of discipline.
Mm,
And now I choose to deal with the pain of discipline and not regret.
wow. Wow. Y'all, this is Bishop T.L. Hood. I promised him I wouldn't have him but 10 minutes. I've had him for 12. So I appreciate you for that extra couple of minutes, Bishop. I know you're a busy man. But thank you for coming by. Thank you for being one of the first supporters. Like I said, he bought four. He bought four. And
And I'm getting ready to buy some more. I'm gonna buy the new since this is old.
put that down, man. I like, man. That was what my edit. That was my. That's the cover my publisher tried to push on me. That wasn't what I wanted. And so let me show them what I wanted. This is what I wanted, y'all. This is what I wanted.
That's
I'm gonna
half of
show
it.
y'all. I'm gonna show you. This is what I wanted, and this is the vision I got. And it came once I got involved. It became so easy. That's me. That's me.
Oh
That's me.
my,
Yeah,
that's
man.
real good. That's nice.
Yeah, that's me, and I'm comfortable now. So we're
I'm gonna
marketing
buy
it. We're working on some things. We made a mistake. I made a $600 mistake, but I'm fixing it right now. I'm
a
fixing it.
$600 mistake stuck
Yeah,
on the
we'll talk.
couch.
Yeah, we'll be okay. But hey, guess what? I didn't make a U-turn and go back to the couch. I ain't like King George. I ain't got to make a U-turn. I ain't going back over that. So I'm good. I'm good. But Doc, I'm not gonna hold you up. I got my next guest in the back room, and I appreciate you,
Okay.
Doc. I
Yes,
appreciate you, Doc,
sir.
for real.
Be
All right,
blessed,
be
man.
good.
Thank
All right,
you.
bless you. Bless you. All right. All right, man. Listen, endorsements like that. He said my book helped save his life. He said he realized that he had been dealing with the pain and regret and what it caused him to do. And that's powerful. That's powerful. And the thing that he commended me on more than anything is my transparency. He said that I shared my story. And that's the thing about it. It's my story. And this is the thing. If a person commits suicide, what kind of person would try to kill them? And it takes very vindictive people to try to do something like that. And that's just not how I roll. That's not how I rock. So I'm let me hurry up and turn this down because it's getting on my nerves. Oh, okay. All right. So listen, I have another guest tonight. He was one of my favorite guests. Now you're talking about somebody who would have been on a couch. I mean, he and his wife were literally on a couch, and it wasn't a couch like you and I would be used. And it wasn't plush. It wasn't a sectional. It wasn't no real. It wasn't leather. It wasn't comfortable. But he was stuck on it for a minute, and he carried his couch everywhere he went. But he was one of my favorite guests, and he's one of my favorite guests, and we become friends over the last 4 or 5 years. I go out to East Texas every month, and work at a dealership out there. And he is one of the employees there, and he's a wildfire. I mean, that's my guy. But he has a testimony. They lost their daughter. He's going to tell us a little bit more about it in a minute. But they lost their daughter. She had epilepsy, and she passed away. Let me just show you a clip of when he was on the show last time. And Jason, I want to thank you again for your courage. Like I said, this is the first half of the interview. We're going to make a hard pivot here in a moment. But we're gonna make a hard pivot. For those that don't know, I just put it back on the screen. Jason and his wife lost JC LeRae. She was a 13-year-old beautiful young lady that had a tough life. From the time she was 3 years old, she had to endure seizures, as many as 20 a day sometimes. And it affected their family. It did. And then not only that, but as Jason just said, she passed away. She passed away. Yeah. All right. So that is Jason Clayton's story. And he said we're not going to be sad tonight. He already told me that. He said we're going another route tonight. But let me bring my buddy in. Hold on. Come on in here, Mr. Jason Clayton. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, James. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm making it like I told Pastor Hood. I'm making it on broken pieces, but I'm gonna hold on to the ship. I'm good over here. I'm good.
I hear you. I ain't made it to the top of the hill yet, but I'm still climbing.
Yeah, hey, as long as I got legs, I'm gonna climb. That's the thing about it. So,
Right.
yeah. So I was just briefly refreshing them about your story. You know, about how old was JC again?
She was 13 years old when she passed away. She was 1 month before her birthday, basically. She had seizures from the time she was 3 years old. There was a deformity in her brain, caused her cells to short circuit a little bit, and they told us she wouldn't live to a ripe old age, and they turned out to be right, even though we didn't believe them.
Yeah.
But finally she lost her battle when she was 13, and we're 6 years down the road now.
Yeah, yeah. And we talked about that last time, how you and your wife started kind of bonding around drinking. You kind of didn't. Go ahead.
What we would do is basically, I mean, we would just blackout drunk almost every single night, just riding back roads, listening to music, crying, whatever, for like 6 months. It was just blackout drinking is the way we coped. That was our coping mechanism. And then finally, I guess, life just came back around. I was like, well, I got to go back to work. So I tried to go back to work. Definitely went back to work way too soon. But so went back to work and took it on a different path now, trying to just continue to move forward.
Yeah, and we talked about all that, and it was if you all noticed when I played that clip, that was a clip when Jason got kind of emotional, and so as the host, I took him out of the scene in that moment to give him that moment to grieve or to remember or whatever emotion he wanted to feel in that moment without putting it out in front of the world, right? So I did that, and I tried my best to navigate that conversation the best I could, and it was good. I mean, we had a lot of people in East Texas, a lot of people, black people, white people. It was a lot. That video or that show touched a lot of people. Jason, tell me the impact that it had on your life.
I mean, I had people even family members I hadn't even spoke to in months reach out, and they were like, "Oh, you're a better man than I thought you were. You're a better husband than I." I had men that I didn't even, to me, it was just, "Hey, this is my wife. We're married. This is what we got to do, right?" I didn't have an option. My choice was I got to hold us together and have a marriage and move forward. And I had men coming up to me saying, "Oh, you're a better husband than I am," and I never thought that way. I never even considered that. I just thought that was what you did. And but I had an outpour of people.
But you said you taught a lot of me. Even you had Pastor Evans crying that night. You had me crying too. I ain't gonna lie, I cried too. But you gave a clinic that night on what it meant to be a provider for your wife when she didn't, because we got this big conversation out in the world right now. I know you probably don't ever hear it. No, you probably do, because you on social media. But they all, like, everybody talking about this 50-50 stuff, 50-50 stuff, and like, if you ain't, you got to have your 50. And there was a time that, I'm not gonna say your wife's name. You can say it if you want to, but I appreciate her a lot.
Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy. There was times when Wendy didn't have a zero.
Nope.
And you had to have the whole 100 in that time, right? And see, people get that so wrong, because it's not your 50 and my 50. It's our 100. Sometimes you got 60, sometimes I got 40, sometimes you got 70, sometimes I got 30, sometimes you got 80. As long as we equal up to 100. And there were times in that moment you had to be the 100 because she just didn't have it, right?
Yeah, but don't get me wrong now. There was times she had to be the hunter because some days
Okay.
I couldn't do
Okay.
it.
Say
I
that.
couldn't do
Okay.
it sometimes either.
Thank you. Okay.
There,
Got you.
there was
Got
days that I was stuck just crying and couldn't get up and do nothing. I had no motivation, no
you.
desire
Okay.
to go forward, and she had to get me up. So I
Got
mean, I ain't saying it's just me that carried everything, but I will say for the most part, yeah, I do have to step in there and say, okay, baby, we got to do this. But
you.
yeah, don't get me wrong. She's definitely there for me when I need it.
Got you. Now, would you say that was your couch?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Still is to this day. but
Okay.
you know, I get off of it a lot easier nowadays.
Mm. And what do you think helps you get up off of it? Get up now.
I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of things, but really and truly, talking about it. If you just hold it and think it's your cross to bear, and you don't let nobody know what your cross is, how can they ever see your scar if you had it all the time?
Wow.
If you
Wow.
don't tell people what's wrong with you, they don't know what's wrong with you. Because we
Mm.
look at people all the time, we get mad at people, or we catch attitude with someone that catches attitude with us. But you don't know what that person has an attitude about. You don't know what they're going through that day. So
Mm.
they could be dealing with, they just buried their child a week ago, or they just
Mm.
lost their house, or they just
That's
lost their
good.
job. And then you get in an argument with them or a pissing contest, for better words, and you really don't know what their side was. So if you don't tell people what's wrong with you and what you're going through, they don't know, and they just assume that you're just being a jerk or you don't want to be part of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, and that's and I was going to talk about that, man, because we live in such a capitalistic society where if somebody got to win, somebody got to lose, right? And so the first thing, and we want to put everybody in categories. We want to compare. First time when I say I played football, well, I played football too. Or I
Yep.
played on the basketball team. Well, I was in the band. Everybody loves to hear. Dale Carnegie talks about in his book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Everybody just loves to hear their name. They want to get their story in, or they want to tell and we become so insensitive and
Yeah, I think you've heard,
desensitized.
go ahead. I
Go ahead.
think you've heard me say this comment before. Certain people are me more, me better. Every
Yeah,
time you tell them something, they say they've done it more, they've done it better.
yeah, and you just never know. And a guy like you, I'll never forget when you came to me because I've been coming to East Texas for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, good 4 years, I know.
And one day, just out the blue, you said, because you had been watching the podcast,
Yeah,
and you said, I want to tell my story.
yeah.
No, actually, you said, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I
I want to
said,
go on your show.
he said, I want to go on my show. I said, and I was like, and talk about what? I didn't know what, because I knew that your daughter, I knew that story, but I didn't know you were going to talk about that. And when you came on, you talked about it, and it took so much courage. Now, let's talk about even beyond after the show, because Wendy was still on the couch, because Wendy didn't even want to
Yeah,
watch the show. Wendy
yeah.
didn't even want to watch the show.
Since then we've actually went and seen psychiatrists. We
Okay.
went one time. Uh, wasn't really a fit for us at that one, so we haven't been back. But since then, Wendy has actually picked up your book and started reading it. You gave him a copy of your book, and I've been on a search for some spiritual stuff right now and stuff. So I was reading some books, and she sat down beside me one day and picked up your book, and she said, "I think I'm going to read this." And then one day I'm at work. And she calls me and she says, "I really like this book." And I said, "Okay, what are you talking about?" She said, "James's book." She said, "I was sitting there looking at it on the coffee table this morning. I picked it up and I was like, and because every morning she gets up and she just sits on the couch and watches TV. She doesn't have a job, so she gets to do it her leisure. And
Mm-hmm.
she goes, so I was sitting there reading the cover of it and I'm stuck on the couch, just like it says. So she get up and reading it. She said she read about 30 minutes of it and she said, "You know what? I'm gonna just read about 30 minutes from now on each day and get up and go do something. I'm not gonna sit on this couch and be a victim anymore."
Wow. Wow. So she was motivated to get up off the couch.
Yep. And
And you know what? And even if it doesn't completely get a person off the couch, if it can motivate them to even see that they're stuck on the couch, right? Because see, before you actually get up off of the couch, you have to kind of see yourself getting up off the couch.
yeah,
Right. You have to mentally visualize it. It's if you've been stuck on it. I was on mine, man, for 3, 4, 5 years.
yeah,
So and if you sit there for 3 or 4 or 5 years, that means a lack of exercise, lack of circulation. Your muscles have a way of hardening up. You don't stretch, all those types of things. So when you get up, it's not as easy as it was to sit down a lot of times, right? And so if you have to really visualize yourself in a better place. You have to visualize yourself walking. You have to visualize yourself, literally up from the couch. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, you're susceptible to go back to the same thing that had you sitting down in the first place.
That's right.
What keeps you from going back to the couch?
I don't know. I never had it in me to give up to begin with,
Okay.
but also just, I mean, I know I got a life I got to provide for. I know what I want out of life too. So I would know if I want those things, I've got to have some type of self discipline to say, hey, you can mourn this when you have time, but you can't do it all day. You can take your section when you need it. I got an hour drive in each morning. If I need that hour drive in that morning, that's when I take my time, or that hour drive in each day from home, going home. But being on the couch, I've got a wife that I love very much. I got to give her a good life, and I would never want her to have to worry about what we're going to do, or how we're going to eat, or where we're going to pay the bills. So I'm going to get up and make sure that I got a job and money coming in so that I can do that.
Yeah, that's good. So you have a why, and that's I was actually having a conversation with somebody earlier today, and we were talking about, they're trying to make the next step in life. They just it's trying to make decisions. What direction in life they want to go in, and we started talking about what's their passion. What are you passionate about? And they didn't know. And if you don't have a why, and for a man, especially a married man, his family and his wife definitely ought to be his why. And so
Yeah.
when you get a why, a man needs a why. I ain't gonna lie. A
Yeah.
good man, if he don't have a why, if he doesn't have a purpose,
It don't matter if it's a nice truck, a big boat, a pretty woman, or a nice house. But if he ain't got something to work for, a man ain't
nah,
gonna do it.
he ain't gonna do it because it's nothing to motivate him.
That's right.
There's nothing to motivate. A man needs motivation. When you start to kill his motivation, it will keep him stuck. And if he has nothing to be motivated about, and part of my problem was, even though I had children, I didn't see them every day, and the family wasn't in the house. So I wasn't going as hard. You know what I'm saying? I was going hard enough. And hard enough sometimes is not going, being going as hard as you can. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like doing, as these folk call this day, called the bare minimum. And so
Yeah.
many people, can survive off the bare minimum. The dysfunction looks like, if you do it, if you're dysfunctional long enough, at a certain point, dysfunction looks like function.
Yeah. It becomes the new
And
normal.
it becomes a new normal. And if you stay stuck on the couch for so long, it becomes your normal. It becomes your new normal. Anything you do 21 days becomes a habit. But because something is normal doesn't mean that it's right. You understand what I'm saying? Because we have a way of creating our own normals. I created my own normal for a long time. I tell people all the time, Jason, while I was stuck on the couch, really silence sounded like noise.
Yeah, because you're in your own head. I mean, that's us. Like, so many times after she passed away, during the day, you got everybody there. Especially at the beginning, you got everybody there, and there's so much noise going on, but you don't hear none of that.
No.
But at nighttime, when you're alone or sitting on that couch alone, however you want to look at it, when we laid in bed at night, those are the worst hours, because you get in your head and you hear all those voices, all those second guesses, all those judgments, all those fears. And that's the worst time of all, is when you're alone.
And regret is the biggest thing, especially when you're alone, because you tend to think about
Yes.
what I could have
Yep.
done. What could
What
I
I
have
could have
done
done.
different? Is it my
Yep.
fault? Was it my fault? What did I, because as men, we love it. I mean, a lot. I do. I mean, I've taken blame that probably didn't even belong to me. Because I would always take the blame, saying it's 100% my fault. And until I finally did a real self-evaluation and self-assessment, when I looked in the mirror, I have a couple of chapters in the book talking about the mirror of the rear, and a couple other things. When I really looked in the mirror and I saw what was in front of me, I said, "Wow," but then again, I also saw that it wasn't all on me either. But I was able to do an evaluation, especially after so many years of not looking in the mirror. So, but it's serious. So, what would you say to someone that potentially that's stuck on the couch, and you think they're trying to, and they're desirous of getting off of it? What would you tell that individual?
You don't have to get off of it all day, but you got to make a point to stand up.
Hmm.
If you don't stand up a little bit, and at least at least try. You know, that's another thing. We don't have to succeed 100% on everything we try the first time we do it. I didn't wake up one day and say, all right, I'm over this. I'm gonna just be better now and move forward.
Wow.
Every day is a struggle, but every day you have to make a choice, and it's the only choice you truly get in life. Am I going to be happy today, or am I going to be miserable? And you have to learn to put that differentiation out there and say, all right, I got this choice. I'm going to choose happy today. I don't always win that battle. Some days I lose it and I'm sad, very, very sad
Mm.
some days. But some days I win. Most days I win. So you have to try first. That's the first step is trying.
Okay. First step is trying, and it's trying. And I think you said the most powerful part right there. Trying starts with standing up.
Yep. And you might lose. You might lose the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, 20th time you try to stand up. But
Yeah.
eventually you're going to stand up.
Yeah. And then it's something that happens after you stand up too.
Yeah,
You
you
start
take that
walking.
next step. Yep.
You start
Take that
walking.
next
And
step.
when you start walking, you're walking away from what was holding you hostage. A lot of times you stand up, but you're not really walking away from it.
That's right.
You know,
You
you know
carrying your
you
couch with you. You dragging
yeah, you're dragging it with you.
like a ball and chain tied to that chair, to that couch.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Those of you all who have not, Jason, I'm gonna play the trailer right quick while you're on here, and I'm
Go
not
ahead.
gonna hold you much longer. We're not gonna be on here long, y'all. I promise you, because I want to watch football myself, and I'm watching the Braves game right now. Look, I'm watching the Braves and the Dodgers right now while this is going on. But hold on, let me play this. I'm gonna play this trailer for those that have not seen it yet, and those that want to order the book. I'm taking pre-orders now. The book should be ready because I made a printing error last week, so I had to send them back, and I'm getting them reprinted. So I'll have my author's copy on Wednesday, and once I see and it's approved like it's supposed to, then I'll send those copies out. But let me show you all. If you all want to pre-order it, please, ma'am, please, sir, let me show it to you now. Though this is the trailer. In the blink of an eye, everything can change. 20 years of marriage, 3 beautiful children, a home filled with memories, gone. James Kirkland II was left with nothing but the silence of his own thoughts and a couch that became his prison. But in the depths of despair, subtle reminders of purpose began to pierce through the darkness. God had not forgotten him. In every small sign, in every whisper, in the stillness, James began to rediscover who he was and why he was still here. Stuck on the Couch is not just a story of loss, but a journey of resilience, faith, and the courage to embrace a new normal. Available now wherever books are sold. Well, it was available. It's going to be available soon, though. Trust me. Yeah, because I made a dumb mistake, but you learn, you live and you learn, and you move on. But hey, it'll be out soon, so it'll be out real soon. So if you want to pre-order that, go ahead, pre-order it. You can go to my page. I think I have the QR code there, and we'll make that available. I'll also put it on here as well. But Jason, man, I appreciate you. I know you just got off work and you
Yes,
gotta
sir.
go. You gotta go count that money you just made today. I got it. So
No, I gotta go help the wife cook some dinner. That's what I gotta do.
what y'all cooking? Some butter beans?
Cooking grilled salmon and some broccoli, cauliflower and carrots.
Oh well, y'all eating healthy tonight. Okay. Well, you tell Wendy I said hello and tell her to stay off the couch. Don't go back to that couch.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you can
It
go
might
back
take
every
her a
now and
day
then.
or two, but you know she'll be listening to this eventually.
I appreciate that, man. One day
Yes, sir.
she's gonna come up. One day she's gonna be strong enough to come on and tell her story.
Yep.
And until then, we'll keep praying for her. But I appreciate you,
Yes,
Jason,
sir.
for stopping by for a few minutes, and we'll talk to you later. All
All
right,
right, man.
all right, y'all. Appreciate y'all. That's I had Pastor Hood on tonight, and what I'm doing now is these are people who have read the book that I've released, and I haven't sold a whole lot of copies yet, but just because I haven't made it available to a lot of people yet. But the ones that are reading it are sharing their own testimonies, and I am appreciative of that, because little do you know, a lot of us end up stuck on the couch. Now, my testimony is that I am no longer on the couch. I've gotten up, and just to be frank with you, I've purchased a new couch since then. So and I've even moved. So, so I'm in a whole different place. My smile has come back along with joy, so my happiness is not based on happenings, but I have definitely found my why. And part of my why came when my daughter moved in with me last year. And now I got both of them. So I get to smile every day, so get to see my baby. So yeah. Once you attach to purpose, I was having a conversation last week with my therapist, and yes, I said therapist. I think therapist is about up though. I think it's almost time for a coach. I hope she's not listening, but if she is, but it's about time for a coach. There's a difference between a coach and a therapist, and so I'm about ready to move to that next level on that one. So, but I was speaking with her the other day, and I made a statement, something like I was weird, and she said, "Why would you say you're weird? Why do you talk so negatively?" I said, "Because I'm different." She said, "Well, nobody's like anybody else." I said, "Why we try to compare ourselves to everybody?" I said, "Why do we put everybody in a category?" I was joking, and I told her today, I said, "Listen, you can't take my first words or my first thought and run with that one, because typically my first thought is a front. Like storms don't show up by themselves, right? Storms usually fronts come before the storm. The front is like the mask for the storm. It comes and kind of gives this illusion of this filter of something that's about to come, because if you ever been in a tornado, it gets real calm right before the tornado. Then the temperature might change, might get real cold or real whatever, and then here comes the storm right behind it. Sometimes when I say stuff, it's the first is for either shock value, or it's a metaphor, or it's parabolic, and if you're trying to listen too quick, you might miss it. And I had to tell her, so if I say certain things, don't just. I told her one time that my stress level went down the more my middle finger went up. Well, why would you be so aggressive? Hold on, shawty. I'm not aggressive. I'm not running around sticking my middle finger up in nobody's face. I'm not doing that. It's a metaphor. But she got it by the time it was over with, right? But it took me getting to that place. Part of that, that whole middle finger thing and my stress level being down, that got stress will weigh you down. Depression will weigh you down. Depression is heavy. Your brain is presented with a scenario, and if you doesn't feel like you're gonna win, or feel like things are gonna go in your favor, sometimes it chooses to go into depression. And depression is heavy. Depression is weighted. So it will, when you're trying to get up from whatever your couch is, if that weight is on you, that weight is on your shoulders, it makes it even harder to get up. Does that make sense? So when you have to you got to figure out whatever it takes, to heal or get to a place where the triggers don't bother you or don't make you react, or whatever it takes to get that weight off of you. Now, did I go through my season? Yes. It was rough and I was cantankerous. I didn't even want to be consoled. People, want to come. No, I don't want. Let me just grieve. I'm like Job. Just let me just sit here and just be alone. And let me go through my season. I'll get over it eventually. And I'll probably in the book, I apologize to some people because I probably lost some friends during that time. Real talk. Real talk. I lost some friends because it hurt people. And during that time when I was stuck, I was hurt, no doubt about it. But now that I'm healed, now I'm concerned and whole, now I can respond differently, But part of that was going through my metaphorical brook of Kerith. And the brook of Kerith in the Bible is the place of cutting. I had to go through my my surgical, like Elijah, I had to go through my surgical season. God took him in the midst of a drought. When droughts, think about the ramification. Water dries up. There's no food supply. Cost of goods goes way up. Supplies go way down. I mean, all these things happen during a drought, but God strategically set a GPS and led Elijah to the brook of Kerith. The brook Kerith in its Hebrew etymology means the place of cutting. So it puts me in the mind of a place of surgery, but he didn't have any anesthesia other than ravens showing up with sirloin tips every day and biscuits on every day and water that continued to flow where there was no water anywhere else, right? Because God, he really didn't give him anesthesia, but he kind of did give him anesthesia. But Kerith was never the destination. Karma was always a destination. And so if I had stayed stuck on the couch, I would have missed my destination. I would have missed where God was ultimately trying to take me. But thankfully, during that season, he kept sending subtle reminders. And those reminders came telling you who you are and what your purpose really is, right? Because we all, once you realize it, John says he lighteth every man that cometh into the world. All of us, that's why grandmama and them sing little simple songs. Y'all thought they were simple. But grandmama, when they sung something like this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. All in my home, on my job, all those kind of. See, when grandmama and them sang songs like that, they had more depth than it seemed like it was on the surface, because what they were saying is they understood that, as John said, that he lighteth every man. All of us have a light. What we're supposed to do with that light? Matthew 5 said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify. So we all have light, and that light has a purpose. But when we lose sight of our purpose, we set ourselves up for depression. We set ourselves up for anxiety. We set ourselves up for disappointment. And then the longer we feel the disappointment, the longer we feel the depression, the longer we feel the anxiety, the longer we stay stuck. But even in those moments, and understand this, because scripture teaches us, see, we don't, the devil can't come get us. We're drawn away of our own lust, right? But even while we're there, God's still standing on the periphery saying, I'm still here and I'm married to the backslider. So he's waiting on us to come back and get it right. He's waiting on us to get off of our metaphorical couch. When you realize you have purpose, you will constantly feel pain until you start to perform in your purpose. I'm just going to say it. If you sure enough really have purpose and you are operating outside of your purpose, you will continually feel pain. I'm not talking necessarily anguishing pain. I'm not talking about a headache, but you will be uncomfortable. Let me say it like that. You will be uncomfortable until you start to perform in your purpose. He lighteth every man, not just me. He lights everyone, and all of us have a purpose. I don't understand how we could be so mean to people we don't know, especially on social media. Huh? People we don't even know. I had a woman the other day. I was on this other dude's page, and they said something. I think they said something. What would you tell a woman who was having an affair with a married man? I said, I would probably mind the business that pays me. And then the woman came and said, well, spoken like a true cheater. I said, oh, who died and left you, God? And I mean, even you watched last week's show, I admitted in the past I was a cheater. I mean, how you going to kill somebody that committed suicide? I already said that. Get me with something else. I already said that. I know what I did. If you're going to get me, I did it. Am I ashamed of it? Yes. Would I do it again? No, preferably not. Yeah, but she goes, and spoken like a true cheater. Yeah, well, who died and left you, God? And we wonder why churches don't draw like they used to. And the ones that do draw is because people are letting their light shine. And if the people don't let their light shine, their budget is strong enough to, pay the power bill so people can at least know that they're over on the corner. That was good. Yeah. So we got. So if you're stuck in a state of stagnation, if you're stuck, that's not the place that God intended for you. And understand that the couch, Shonda, has no position of permanency. It's seasonal, right? You don't go to the couch and put up mailboxes. You know what I'm saying? That's not where you're gonna dwell or reside for a long time. You go through it, get the lesson that was intended, and then you move on. Life lends lessons. But once we consider the clues, then it's time to move. Elijah stayed at Kerith for so long, but in between Kerith and Carmel was a place called Zarephath. Kerith was a place of cutting, but Zarephath was a place of refining. You don't just get out of the surgery room or the surgery center and go home and get into bed. No, you got to go through rehab. You got to go through recovery. You got to build your strength back up. And that's what happened when he met a little woman. No, I'm preaching a little bit more. Yeah, when he went and had his strength built back up, because Kerith was never the destination. Carmel was. He had to fight 450 false prophets of Jezebel on the top of a mountain. But he couldn't have done that had he not gone through Kira's, because while he was at Kira, he saw God provide, even while I was on the couch. Lisa, you know I ain't lying. I saw God provide. I mean, make way every month, man. I paid my rent late for probably 3 years in a row because I made sure I paid my child support first. I paid more money in fees. Man, come on. You can't. That's why I tell folks, you can't make me doubt him. I know too much about him. It's one thing when you can utter grandmama's testimony, or mama's testimony, but when you start developing your own testimonies, and couches will teach you, or couches will reveal to you, because he still shows up. As y'all young folks say, real talk, he shows up every time and on time. That's why I say you can't make me doubt him, because I know too much about it. And then I write the book, and then I start getting phone calls, and I start getting testimonies. Pastor Hood just said this book saved his life. He said it's making him reevaluate his whole ministry, and he's been preaching for over 30 years. Because I was transparent. I messed up. I made some mistakes. Made some bad decisions. But thankfully, and that's for those of us who believe like I believe, it's under the blood. It's covered, thank God. And that's where I am, so if you have not purchased it yet, like I said, it's available now for $20. If I have to ship it, it's $5 for shipping. Pre-order it from me. Go to my page. I got the QR code and the link on the page. Listen, I told y'all I'm not going to be doing these 1.5 and 2-hour shows anymore. I'm going to keep this down under an hour, because I want to watch football too. I think the Falcons are getting ready to get beat by the Eagles. So I'm about to watch the Falcons get drove by the Eagles in just a minute. And that's it. But if you have not, like I said, have had the opportunity to purchase Stuck on the Couch, let me show you what it looks like again for those that have not seen the cover. This is the cover I chose. That's what I roll with. That's it. Stuck on the Couch. I'll make the QR. You can go on my page and find the QR code. There's a yeah. Go on my page and you can see the QR code if you want to purchase it. It's available. Also, those of you all who have high school age children that are possibly struggling in mathematics, my daughter has started her business. She's a recent college graduate of the University of Georgia with a mathematics degree, and she specializes in algebra 1, algebra 2. She also specializes in trigonometry and calculus and geometry. If your children are having trouble with those subjects, here is her flyer. You can reach out to her. I'm going to leave it up there for about another 30 seconds. So if you need to get the information off of it, feel free to do that. She can help your child virtually. And if you're in Metro Atlanta, if you're close enough, she can come to you after we vet you, of course, because I'm still her father. So there that information is. Virtually it'll probably be the best way. But she has a passion for teaching and helping people. So reach out to her for her rates and all those things. There her number is. But that's Kennedy's tutoring service. But there it is. Check her out. Now, I think I'm done for the night. I'm going to play this trailer one more time. I'm going to come back and say my good nights to you. And then I'm going to watch me some football. I'm kind of hungry, too. So is Waffle House in my future? We'll see. Hold on. In the blink of an eye, everything can change. 20 years of marriage, 3 beautiful children, a home filled with memories, gone. James Kirkland II was left with nothing but the silence of his own thoughts and a couch that became his prison. But in the depths of despair, subtle reminders of purpose began to pierce through the darkness. God had not forgotten him. In every small sign, in every whisper, in the stillness, James began to rediscover who he was and why he was still here. Stuck on the Couch is not just a story of loss, but a journey of resilience, faith, and the courage to embrace a new normal. Available now wherever books are sold. All right, so there it is. It's available. Like I said, go to my page if you want to pre-order that. So the way I'm looking at it is, I get the book Wednesday. Assuming that everything is at what it's supposed to be, I'll order those at the same time, and I'll have them by no later than Monday, and I'll get those out to you all. Okay, so I'm looking forward to getting those in your hands so I can hear your testimonies as well. Now, with that being said, if all hearts and minds are clear, we're going to go ahead and make our exit, and so I can watch me a little football as well. But as I always say on my way out, the world is changing. My question for you is, why do you remain the same? Y'all have a good night. Talk to you later. Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew with James Kirkland. Intellectual stew. Intellectual stew.